But SpongeBob, you're losing an arm too, Lieutenant Dan? Don't worry, super glue is coming. And now to the step one of the grilling process. Other than lighting the coals, we got to open a beer. I got a pretty good mix of meats today. It's just 3 or 4 days after shooting that first video. And yeah, those coals look like they're catching, however slowly. Burgers, some mystery meat. I think it was pork from HEB. Then I did some cubed up pork that was like for stew. We're gonna do my version of like a quick al pastor. No offense to people of Mexican ancestry, it's not traditional in any way. Just riffing off of that with achiote. And then also I think there's a little bit of chicken that I marinated in a different sort of marinade to try out. I think the burgers from the last time went the fastest, so I decided to go ahead and take the other like 4 pounds of beef that we had, ground beef, and go ahead and turn those into burgers today. It's about 4:45. The sun has gone down over the horizon, so it's not quite so hot. I just don't want to be out here in the middle of the day when the sun is beating down. There was a little bit of pecan, like a chunk, that was left that I'm going to use, but I actually got hickory today. I don't have oak yet, and I'm going to have to get some mesquite as well. Mesquite-based barbecue is quite controversial in Texas. There's a lot of discussions and arguments about it. Mesquite on brisket in particular is very like chocolatey. It has like a really interesting flavor profile. A little bit more lighter fluid just to coat again because it felt like it absorbed, it wasn't burning. There was a huge flame up and I nearly caught myself on fire, singed off my eyebrows, so that would have been great for the second episode. But we're lit, it's going. I'm trying to let that hickory go ahead and catch, which I think it is starting to. So here in a second I'm gonna, well, I guess I get to do it while I'm talking. Put the grate on. There we go. I treated these a little bit differently than last time. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and just put the rest on, but I'm gonna have to let these sit and like move them around to get them to caramelize the way I want them to. Get that good Maillard, that browning reaction you're looking for. There we go. And also some of the fat from those burgers when it drops is actually gonna make it flare up a bit. It's already starting, looks like. So let me close this a little bit. So when I went ahead and did those, what I did was I mixed about 4 pounds of ground beef with, let me think about it. What did I mix it with? So I used some Smoke Show chili flakes, which are from a company whose chili flakes I have not yet reviewed, but they're smoky. They've got some ancho. It's a Smoke Show. It's just like fancy chili flakes, like stuff you'd put on pizza, but I used those. I added a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, probably a couple tablespoons, 2 eggs. This is 4 pounds of ground beef. About 3 tablespoons of onion powder, some smoked Maldon salt, and what else did I put in it? Is that it? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It took me a little bit of hand mixing to work the burgers out and get them set up the way that I wanted. But I think that it was a good texture for the grill. They were a little bit like wet at first, so I had to kind of knead it a couple times. And then 9 times out of 10, what I do when I'm making burgers on the grill like this, what I will do is I'll make them in advance and let them sit in the fridge covered just like I had. I like to make the patties ahead of time because I think it's a little bit easier to work with. It also feels like they form into an actual patty better that way. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but if you just do it fresh and throw them on, I don't like it as much. Also, if you can put a little bit of seasoning inside the burger, it works really well. I would recommend, if you're not like me, I'm kind of like dirty carnivore, keto. I eat some vegetables and things, some cheat meals doing carnivore diet, but I have a little bit more vegetables and stuff than some people would recommend. I don't seem to be bothered by spices. So I use spices just to diversify what I'm doing. And I would like to note, if you are carnivore and if you're like militant carnivore, which is almost like the opposite end of the vegans, right? Wood is technically a plant, so therefore it's not carnivore. You heard it here first. Anyway, smoke, not carnivore. I mean, not technically, if you look at it that pure, that'd be that pure. So you can see this, a little bit too much. All right. Slowly coming together. The temperature got up to about 200 degrees. You see how they still form pretty decent patties? Like they're not like completely, you know, falling apart, which is what I was hoping for. I like using egg to go ahead and stretch these. I was talking about carnivore earlier. If you eat a more keto kind of carnivore style diet, then you know you can use things. If spices are okay and you don't have a problem with it, you can absolutely use onion powder, garlic powder, basically dehydrated vegetables that you add to sort of soak up some of the fat. If those don't bother you, I know that it's not strict carnivore, but the reason I mention it is if you don't have a problem, breadcrumbs. The heels on bread, I find that kids, for some reason, they don't like the heels on bread. So what I tend to do is take the ends of the loaf and I put it in a bag in the freezer and I save that and use it as breadcrumbs. If you use some breadcrumbs, what it's going to do to 80-20 ground beef or even something like 73-27 is it's going to absorb some of that fat. I think it actually slightly improves the texture, but it's completely up to you. This is mainly ground beef and eggs with some spices thrown in. Like I said, smoke show, a little bit of Leon Perron? Yeah, I miss Justin Wilson. So yeah, we're at 200 degrees. I'm just going to keep checking these and let it keep going. Cranking out some heat. I took about half the burgers off. And one of the things I wanted to note is if I take this off, we get some flame, okay? Now, it's some of the fat falling from the burgers and catching because it's 83-20. That's a thing that you can actually prevent a little bit with breadcrumbs if you decide to, but I wanted to note this. When I put this back on, I can't limit the airflow from down below unless I open up this vent over here. But once I cover that up, the flames cut down, the heat stays. It's regulating the oxygen just enough to prevent just like absolute flame. And that's what's gonna lead to like really bitter flavors. If you almost, you know, turn the outside of the burger into goddamn charcoal, it'll taste like it. That's how you're going to regulate it. Most smoker grills have something like this. They call it a flue maybe, I don't know, where you can control the oxygen flow. And if you were doing something like smoking, you absolutely want to be able to cook stuff at a lower temperature for a longer amount of time. This is just over 200 degrees, which I think is one of the higher temperatures I've seen. Did we go to 250 last time? I don't remember. Anyway, just something to think about. If you like that little bit of flame, I actually put the burgers on top of the coals because I want a little bit of sear, but I don't want so much. If you get a burger that you feel is overly caramelized on one side, I'll usually flip it and move it away from the flames directly, so it's a little over to the side. With the smoker, 9 times out of 10, what they do is they have a box on the side. The box has the flame and the smoke in it, and they're just running the smoke in. Now you're going to get some of the heat, but it's not going to be direct direct, because you're not trying to grill meat, you're trying to smoke it. You see how it's flaming up? It's from all the fat earlier. I think these are good and cooked. I've looked at these, flipped these several times, but this fire is really, really hot, and what it's doing right now, I can see the drippings off the burger. That's what's making it flame up. We're giving it extra oxygen, so it's just causing some flame right there, but that's good and cooked. Ooh. Give me a little flame. That is what you do not want to do long term. Long term. In the short term, it's going to be fine. It'll give you some nice sear on the outside, but it's not something you're going to want to sit in the whole time. I'm going to take that off and go ahead and cover these up. This is flaming up so hot. I want to cook this. I don't know what seasonings are on this. Jack said he thinks it's like beef, but we're going to find out. Looks like it might be. And it's got some kind of seasoning mix on it from HEB that I have absolutely no idea about. Let me go ahead and cover that so it doesn't burn. Oh yeah. I'm actually going to flip these out. I'm going to bring this guy to the other side so he's not directly on the flame there. There we go. And move this guy to the other side. This is always, like, you know, rotating. One of the things I've noticed over time, it's flaming up too much. Let me cover that. Is you're trying to control the amount of smoke and you're trying to control the temperature. And it was flaming up as it slowly, it slowly dies down, which is what I want. I don't mind some smoke, right? Here it goes. But you don't want it to be so hot that it just singes the outside of the meat. As I do this, I'm gonna move stuff around. I did do this time. I moved the coals to one edge a little bit more than I did last time. They were in the center because I wanted to be able to use that to my advantage so I could put it right over the coals if I want more heat. They got enough like char, but I wanted to just sit a little bit longer. So I'm gonna move them to the outer edge, just like I had it. Hey, if I can move this, there you go. That's why I got tongs and a spatula. Now I'm gonna put on what I make is the version of like my El Pastor. Now this is in no way traditional. This was me just having some achiote. I had a couple of limes. I think I put some ancho powder in this, and these do real well with heat, guys. Real heat. The chunks of pork I think are just large enough to take some flame and sear here, and it's also going to drip onto the coals. So we'll see how this goes. This is I've never done this before, in case you're wondering. Never on flame. Usually they cook this on a trompo. It's really interesting to find out, like, there's a Lebanese kind of Middle Eastern flair to some dishes. But if you have pineapple juice would be a good addition, or some actual pineapple if you want. It'll tenderize the meat. I didn't have that, and this is kitchen thrift, right? What did I have? I had a couple limes. I had some achiote that was in the fridge. I usually use about a half pack or a third, depending on the amount of pork. This was about 2 pounds worth. I marinated this for several hours. And I think I'm going to hold off on the rest. I'm going to let that really caramelize. We're about half the way through, which means beer number 2. These are very important steps. They should never be altered. If you study with me and you're looking for a sequence, this is it. Meditate in your backyard. Think about the suburbs. Think about what this does to planet Earth. Home mortgages. I suspect that these steaks are good and done. They got a sear earlier, but I just kept them on to keep some additional heat there. I don't want to overcook those, but they look like they're pretty good. And I want to check, I'm not getting any flames anymore because there's no more fat from those burgers. I'm also using the spatula because I didn't want to get like raw pork on those. I'm going to cover those with my towel. So we want some color. Oh, okay, yeah, it's got a little bit. Ah, it's just hiding. So it's kind of small. I was afraid it was going to fall through the grates. We might lose a piece here or there. We'll give that up to the taco gods. Oh yeah, there we go. A little bit of color. Not even nearly done. Needs to keep going. And you want to cook the shit out of these. This is pork. You're not eating pork medium rare. It's got to be, I mean, you don't have to, you don't have to fucking burn it, but if you're using it as like basically taco meat, as a pretty much carnivore kind of guy, I will use these, and I think you'll notice over time I cook in a way where the family can use stuff for more like traditional burgers or traditional. See this char? This is really what I'm going for over here. If I can continue that process, that's what I want. And the coals are all over here, so I don't think it's going to do me any good to move it over. I might try to get a little bit more char and then move all that over and bring on the next batch. But I tend to cook stuff for the family that they can use the way they want, as like burgers, chicken, whatever. But I cook it in a way that I can eat what I want. I noticed that if I cook and cook well, less cheat meals, it means the stuff is around. When does a grilled burger patty not sound good? It means that I stay more on my diet. It tends to reduce inflammation in my case, which has been a problem because I work in pain management. So a carnivore, heavy meat, fat diet makes a huge difference to me in terms of inflammation, and I just don't hurt as much. But we're gonna go ahead and let that keep cooking, and then we'll go for the chicken. Oh yeah. So you see, take the lid off, more airflow, starts to singe. Ooh, that one's a little overdone. So I had a taste. It's not quite as tasty, but typically I think the reason why is when I cook this, I cook it in a lot of bacon fat on my stove, and adding that extra fat just really adds to the mouthfeel, flavor. I'm gonna finish these up before I put the next batch on, and these will be done in just a minute. Whoo, that's flaming up, damn. I put 2 more chunks of oak. I didn't get to see that because I was busy, but I put 2 more chunks of oak, and that's where some of the flame is coming from. Once that, I said oak, it's hickory. So El Pastor, not really, but my version, simple, with what I had. Is hickory traditional? No, it's not. The Trumpo is traditional. There we go. Let's go ahead and take that off. I think that's gotten the flame that I want on it. That looks good. Now we're gonna bring on the second batch. Oh, yeah. And I guarantee you these pieces, oh yeah, that's done on the end there. I'm trying to get some char because I really like that flavor. I moved this around earlier, some of those pieces over there. I think those are basically done. Those are so small. And again, I've never done this on the grill before. Super interesting to see it get some char. We lost 2 pieces to the gods. The gods took those with them onto Valhalla. You think the Vikings had tacos? Let me let that go for just a second. One of the things that I did for today, I had pecan chunks and hickory chunks that I picked up at the store. It's just a cheap way to pick those up. I don't know, I guess in other places they do the same thing, but I grabbed those at my local HEB. I used pecan in the last episode. I wanted hickory for this one because I was doing burgers again. I think hickory is one of my favorite on burgers. I just think it works so well. Oak is very middle of the road. That's what's typically used for brisket, and I really like that. Pecan, apple, cherry, all have their nuances, and I think that's good. Really just depends on what you like, and I'm exploring. I'd never done this before, so what would it be like? So I will often take this, and I can make tacos for the family if they want. Oh, we lost a piece. Oh. Sorry, guy. You're gonna have to go down between the grate there and go to the gods. Really flaming up. This is a completely different recipe. And this is chicken. I don't know if you can see this. This is chicken that I marinated in soy sauce, a little bit of fish sauce, some chipotle chili, and did I add anything else? Some black pepper. And these are small, so they're probably really picked up on that essentially brine, but they're going to be full of flavor. And that little piece is probably going to fall. So, soy sauce, fish sauce. Okay, let's get that covered up. We don't want it burning up there. Black pepper, a little bit of chipotle chili. In the al pastor, or my version of the al pastor, we again said it's not traditional. Nothing I make is traditional. Very few. Same goes with my body work, same goes with food. I change things up in various ways, just experimenting. When I went ahead and did these, I just picked spices that I had on hand that I thought would work well with what ingredients we had to kind of clean out the freezer. We had 4 pounds of leftover ground beef, which I used for the burgers. We had frozen chicken tenders, which I used for that. We had 2 pounds of frozen pork for stew, is what it was called. And that's what I used for my version of the al pastor. The al pastor meat, I will usually take that right now. I will go dice it up super fine. And then I will serve it, in my case, with some cilantro and onion, sometimes a little sour cream on the side. If you want to make guac, something like that, nobody will complain. Now, is al pastor typically made with hickory smoke? No. We're just experimenting with what we got. New free grill, guys. We just work with what we got. I'm going to show you my cucumber sauce, basically, and I found out we don't have any lemons, but I'm going to show you how to deal with that. And these need a little bit more, so I took it off. I wanted to flame up just a little bit before I cover it. I just wanted you to get a good view of what was going on there. I'm going to scoot these over just a little bit. And I also wanted to tell a quick story. Years ago, my dad loves chicken, and I tease him because I tell him that he's about 80% chicken patties. When you go to like local Walmarts or stores, so the flame is coming up. I'm going to go ahead and just cover that. I tell him he's about 20%, 80% chicken patty because he ate so many of these frozen chicken patties because he doesn't like to cook. Like he finds food sometimes to almost be an annoyance. Like he wishes he could just take a pill and not have to worry about it. So chicken is inexpensive, and I could go to the store, and I remember getting pork chops, and I made a peach barbecue sauce where I grilled the peaches on one side and you ran it through the food processor, made a peach barbecue sauce for the pork chops. I made burgers, and I made chicken breasts. And chicken is one of those things where it's a pretty neutral flavor. Like you can do lots of stuff with it. It's not exceedingly pronounced, and it's also something we encounter every day. So I took the chicken, and I'm almost positive I took whole chicken breasts and I brined them overnight in a mixture of soy sauce, probably had a little bit of thyme, if I remember, some cayenne, and it just brined in that overnight. And then I probably like sliced them open and then grilled them. And my dad, who normally is like, chicken again, like, you know, goddamn chicken, just cook me some chicken patties. My dad came in, I think he was wearing like a pair of flip-flops, a pair of, what do you call those, sweatpants, and no shirt, and he's like picking his teeth, and he's like, God damn, Robert, that chicken was good. What'd you put in that chicken? And that's the thing. You want to take mediocre ingredients and turn them into something great. Nothing that I've cooked so far. This isn't filet mignon. This is ground beef, man. It's just like a little piece of chicken breast. The way you treat the ingredients, you could do tons of stuff if you spend the time to just do a little bit of mise en place, just a little bit of prep work. A lot of people, it's like they wait till they get home and then they're frustrated because they can't figure out, like, what do I make for dinner, you know, whatever. Working as a body worker massage therapist, I work with lots of women, and the women will consistently complain to me about their guys where they get home from like a long day at work and there's no food made. So to give you an idea, I am cooking all of this, and I ask Cece, you're off today. What do you want for dinner? She knows I'm cooking burgers, chicken, steak. I think it was steak that was marinated for an HEB, and the chicken breast. And she says, I want pancakes and eggs. Now, what did I do earlier? I made pancake batter, and we're giving her pancakes and eggs, guys. Listen, if you don't want me to steal your lady, you need to get on to cooking. It's a small thing that you can do. Not only is it kitchen thrift, saving money, but it's also a love language. I cook for people that I care about, and I love being able to prepare meals and make great, tasty food for people. And chicken, you want it to be cooked well, but you don't want it to be burnt. You don't want it to be overdone. Little bit more, maybe right there. I'm gonna grab my plate so I can take these off. I think those are done, guys. I remember the first meal I ever made was chicken for my dad, and I completely overcooked it. It was so fucking dry. It's making jerky. Oh, lost a piece. But yeah, I think that's good. We're gonna head inside, and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna make the cucumber sauce for the burgers. You'll notice the other day I was cutting that chicken and I didn't think about it, but I got a new towel because that one was kind of getting gross. I'm going to go ahead and put this underneath this little cutting board because we don't want this to slide around so much. That's going to help give it a little bit of traction. And I'm going to talk about the cucumber. So I made the cucumber sauce with some lemon, black pepper, little sea salt the other day. I got a little bit of this left, but I have another package of this, or about a half container. I want to go ahead and use the rest of this cucumber. So I'm going to show you how we're going to prepare that. You can do this in any way you want, okay? You want to make tzatziki, you want to go ahead and, you know, add dill, whatever, totally fine, no big issue. To me, it really just depends on what you have. And I thought about this. I don't have any lemons. I use those. And since I use those, I was kind of lamenting. I'm like, oh no, I can't do what I normally do. And where is my peeler? Where are you hiding? There it is. All right. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and peel this on the outside. These peels are going to go in the compost pile out back. I don't peel all the green off. That's just my personal choice. These are real nice, like English hothouse cucumbers. I go ahead and peel that off just to give me some green. I'm going to go ahead and slice it in half. And then what I tend to do is just go through, and do I have a bowl for the compost? Well, I guess I'll just grab one. So I'll save a bowl for the compost for what I'm cooking and then deal with that later. But I'll go through and just scrape this on the inside with a spoon just to get the seeds out. All right, so that of course will go towards the compost pile. And this, we're gonna see. I think what I'm gonna do is slice it into big long slices as best I can to get little cubes. Last time I sliced them across to make like little ovals, not ovals, what do you call that? A half fan, half circle, something. I'm just gonna do this time so I get little chunks. Now, I really like it with the lemon juice. The lemon juice is really bright. I think it adds something really, really nice to it, but we don't have any. And this is kitchen thrift, right? I thought about that and I was kind of sad, and then I'm like, well, you're kind of demonstrating the fact that you're making stuff, you know, on the fly. So you slice it however you want it. Now, one of the nice things about these, rinse this off. Rinse off the spoon. Is these, because they are so small and pliable, when I'm done with something like this, a little task, and I want to mix it, I just take it and fold it in half, and I can usually scoop all of that in. There we go. Makes it easier until you spill it all because you're not paying attention. And I wanted to use up the rest of that cucumber because you don't want to waste it, right? I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And I don't want to add any vinegar. I think the yogurt itself is tart enough, and I'm going to go ahead and just mix that. I'm going to get just a little bit of sea salt. You can add a little bit of black pepper if you prefer. I like mine fresh cracked if I can get away with it. And we're going to mix that slowly and see if we make another mess. But this in particular is almost like a cucumber raita. I had it with Indian food before, and it kind of cools down curry. It makes it not so spicy as a condiment. I thought about just eating the yogurt plain, but when I thought about it again because of these hickory burgers, I just thought this is going to work much, much better. This would probably last 4 or 5 days in the fridge is my guess. You just have to be cognizant and aware. Oh God. Oh my God. It's so good. I'm going to try just a little piece of the El Pastor. It's good. Cheap cut, a little bit of pork. That looks like it's pretty well done on the inside. I feel like that was marinated well. I'm just going to break off a piece of the chicken here. I didn't add any additional salt. It feels perfectly seasoned and salted. This is the one so far that really stands out. Let's try a piece of burger here. I'm going to put a little yogurt sauce on this. Ugh. Dude. Man, that's good. I think it's a win. The only thing I wonder about is the El Pastor and hickory. I think the hickory might be a little bit better on beef and chicken. I don't like it as much on the pork, but maybe that's just me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for tuning in, and more to come with New Free Grill.